thank you for joining us for Choice Conversations. What is the role of mentorship when it comes to the lives of fatherless boys? Our guest is Bivian Sonny Lee III, and he is founder and chief executive officer of Son of a Saint. And the mentorship program, their number one guiding principle is to enhance the lives of fatherless boys. Sonny, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's interesting. How did you decide that this mission, this purpose would be to impact the lives of fatherless boys?
Well, we know there are a lot of challenges that are going on with our youth in the community, that they're facing some negative behaviors and negative outcomes are really, we could look at this core being at home, right? Like what's home look like? And a lot of these boys who have challenges don't have fathers in their homes, are not guided by, men. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to impact these boys specifically. And growing up fatherless myself, knowing or having a good idea of what the boys need, is what we led with. And so we have a lot of programming around that.
Well, your story of growing up without a father is so interesting because your father was quite famous, a
Yeah.
professional athlete, a professional ball player, and very, very well loved, and died at an early age. Tell us about the story and what you remember growing up without him was like for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's always been bigger than life in my family, right? I mean, they still, my mom and my grandmother, my family still talks about him obviously all the time, and how great of a man he was. But he died early. He died in front of me when I was 3 years old. And that's really my only memory of him. I don't have memories of anything else. And so I have some pictures that I have, but that we've saved during Katrina, luckily. But I grew up, safe environment, loving, nurturing. Education was preached. Faith was definitely a big part of my life. And I did grow up with a lot of women in my family. So there was, I have an older sister, my mom, my aunts, my grandmother. So I didn't have really a lot of kind of male guidance, I guess, growing up. But a lot of my uncles lived out of town. I did have some coaches, but, I'm talking about on a daily basis, right? I didn't have, anybody really at my baseball games that was in a crowd that was rooting me on, that was a male. And, those things are important for boys as they go through adolescent years. Going to St. Aug really, really impacted my life because it was just, it was every day. And I was looking at the mannerisms of a man every day, the discipline, the expectations. I mean, it was amazing. And that's why I credit St. Aug for even, helping me start Son of a Saint, because a lot of the things that I was taught there, I implement with my boys.
Well, you are literally a son of a saint because your father
Yeah.
played for the New Orleans Saints. Was there a pivotal moment when you said that this organization needs to happen and I'm the one to make it happen?
Wow. So it was 2000, and it's like December 2010, and it was after a Saints game. I was with my sister, and I looked on my phone, and there was a murder. One boy had murdered another boy, and I said, "What's going on here?" I kind of dug a little deeper and realized that neither of the boys had a father in their life. And I said, "Well, what was the difference between us?" And some of that was that guidance that I got, particularly at St. Aug, and maybe even the home environment that was very consistent. And I said, "Look, let's just take everything my mom gave me and implement that, at an early age for boys, kind of before they get 13, 14, 15, obviously, but let's start early. And let's stick with them for a long period of time." And it's not just about mentorships. I mean, there's 7 other parts of it. There's mental health, there's travel, there's educational support, there's career development. So, really reaching the whole child is very important to us. And so I think me having an understanding of that, and being able to see really the world from a different lens, obviously working with Tom Benson with the Saints. I was his chief aide for a while, but having that great unique experience really, I think, allowed me to really develop what that plan was going to be for our program.
A lot of times people do begin organizations, and you look at how Son of a Saint has grown over 10
Yes.
years, almost
Yes.
10 years. What was the beginning part? What did you
Oh,
say? Okay, I can't do everything all at once. Here's what I can do.
well, I tried. I mean, I tried for 4 years. I was founding executive director as a volunteer. So I had another full-time job. And, I think it's very important, to be honest with you, as a founder, to learn about every aspect of the organization, to make mistakes, to learn and find mentors as well. So, I think early on it was a lot of I just kind of put my head down and just started rolling with it, and I think one of the important things is I talked about it 24 hours a day. And I know my friends and family probably got annoyed with me a lot, but they really saw the dedication that I have. And that's important to have allies on your team that believe in you and know that you're not going to stray away from that. And that no matter what obstacle comes your way, you're going to bulldoze through it. So it was very hard early on because, you have to raise money, right? I mean, you have to raise money. You have to, work on programming. And so I was picking up boys after the games. I was bringing them everywhere I was going to their school. If there were disciplinary issues, I was coordinating mental health support for them. And it was very hard at first. And so, we finally got over a hump, I think, 4 or 5 years in when I decided to take it on full time as opposed to, I left my other job and really was able to dedicate some good time to it and hire my first program manager, which really changed the program tremendously.
What you're saying is so important, whether it's for a business or it's for an organization. You can only have so much bandwidth to do so much by yourself, that you have
Absolutely.
to have
Absolutely.
a
Yeah.
team effort there as well. And you talk about the mentorship, but it's also a holistic organization, and especially the mentorship program. What are the expectations as far as academics, community involvement, or either leadership for the mentees? What are they expected to do?
Sure. Well, the mentees, they're expected to show up. Number one, I mean, they have to really want to be in this program. We have a close to 100% retention rate over the last 10 years of our boys, and so we have great results. But it looks different early on when they join at age 10 to when they're 15 to 16. And as they get a little older, there are more extracurricular activities and have less time. But basically they have to connect. They have to come to at least 2 group activities a month. We have about 20 of those that we put on, and they have to connect with their mentor once a week. So that's really on the mentor to really also connect with them, but they have to engage together. Our boys have to do about 8 hours of community service a month. They have to have at least a 2.7 GPA or 2.8 GPA. Like last semester, our total was 2.8 GPA for our spring semester. So I was really happy. We're trying to get it up to 3.0. And the boys don't get kicked out of the program. We've never kicked a boy out of the program for challenges that they may have had in the home, at school, or with grades. We just give them much more support in that area to get them to that level. So a lot of it is about participation and, them just being, good ambassadors even of the organization.
What happens to their home? Because again, if they're changed from the inside, if they're exposed, what ripple effect have you seen on the home front when they go
Yeah.
back to their respective
Oh,
communities?
it's really amazing. I mean, because there's a tremendous amount of support for the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers that are in the program, as well as their siblings. I mean, we see their relationships with their siblings even change for the positive. But it's some of the moms may not be used to an environment like this, right? And when I say environment, meaning like the discipline that we have, the expectations, just anybody, to be honest with you, because it is rigorous and it is something that we ask of them to commit to. But I think we also help the moms. We have classes all the time, financial literacy or home buying, or just a mom's group to understand like exactly what's going on with each other. They can swap notes because they're all raising boys, right? So I think it's a supportive environment that we're able to provide for the families, and we ask them to talk to us, let us know what's going on. We do surveys once a week on the families and find out what the needs are. It could be some basic needs like food or finding a job or what have you, and we're there to support the whole family, not just the boy.
There can sometimes be a financial strain or even obstructions for families when it comes
Sure.
to getting a quality education. Talk about Son of a
Yeah.
Saint being a student tuition organization a member, and what do you think that has meant
Yeah.
for families?
Well, I think having been through the Catholic school system and over at St. Aug, I think it really it helped us with having to know what the boys need. We a student tuition organization basically means that we can apply someone's state tax liability to our boys' tuition, and we're one of three organizations in the state that can do that. And we've supported each year probably about 40 boys a year to go to some of these schools, and we're about school choice. So whether a boy's going to a charter school or he's taking classes online, or there's a private school option for him like that, like we are with the SEO. We want the boy, we want the school to fit the boy, right? And so some boys want to follow their friends, and maybe it's a failing school that they want to go to, but our education coordinator helps guide them in the right place. And so schools like St. Aug, like Brother Martin, De La Salle, a lot of our boys are going to. Sometimes really just helps them. It kind of elevates them a little bit to achieve their future goals. And also I think even specifically at all boys schools, I mean, our boys obviously are growing up without fathers, a lot of them without any male that's around. And some of these schools have a lot of male teachers, and they have other boys obviously that our boys can learn from. I mean, I learned a lot from my peers in school. Some of them had dads, and I learned a lot from that. I learned how to change a flat tire from one of my friends because his dad taught him. And so some of those things can be very helpful to us.
What happens to the young men? Your organization is 10 years old now. Once they go
Yeah.
through the program in terms of leadership, in terms of giving back?
Yes. So most of our boys are first generation college students right now. And a lot of them are actually outside of New Orleans. They want to go. We have one in Maine. We have like this all over. One's at West Point. So they stay connected to us. A lot of the older boys, sorry, are really my kind of cohort of boys that I first started with. So I obviously keep in touch with them on a weekly basis. And when they come back in town, they obviously volunteer with us, and usually it's Christmas or some Thanksgiving, some of the holidays. But we keep track of them. We make sure that they have a mentor where they are, and so that if there's any needs, like sometimes you get a boy needs a book, because books are expensive, or they need some food on their on their meal. So we look to sponsors, and we can help support them in some areas in that way, and just kind of keep them focused on the ultimate goal of being self-sufficient boys. So they're great examples for our younger boys in the program, and so because they're looking up to them, so their expectation is to come back and be a mentor.
How has the pandemic impacted the way you deliver your holistic approach? Because there are a
Yeah,
lot of changes, and we see scenes of them with their masks and social distancing.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think first of all, the food, the basic needs. I think that was another thing, because we had moms that obviously were not working, and some challenges there. So we provided about 10,000 meals to families through the pandemic. Made sure our boys had laptops and was ready for virtual learning. Actually, I'm at the office right now, and we have about 20 boys that are actually getting some focused attention right now, because the home environment may not be good for them or conducive for learning. So that as well as a lot of virtual activities. I mean, like I said, we have about 20 activities a month. So we just continued on with that. Cooking, Nina Compton just, nooning cooking classes, yoga. They would do games with their mentors. So we just have to do a lot of virtual things as that regard. And education obviously is just really important for us. So just making sure that they're, enrolled in the proper schools that have what they need for learning.
You talked about some of the older ones who graduated through your program
Yeah.
now in college. They're out of the New Orleans and Louisiana area. Last November, you had an opportunity to make sure that 15 young boys had an experience of a lifetime and went to Ghana. How did that
Yeah.
come about, and what impact do you think it did for them to make them more
Yeah.
global citizens?
Yes, yes. We're very excited for that. Some of our juniors and seniors went out there. They wanted to go there. That was a place that they selected. We have a supporter, a FAR Media based out of New York, and they have an office in the West Coast too. But we met them several years ago, and through one of their programs called Learning Afar, they actually helped fund the trip for us. And so we, taking advantage of that, we went to Costa Rica actually a couple years ago, service project out there. I didn't go to Costa Rica. I didn't go to Ghana. I gave my spot up to one of our mentors of the year. I knew it'd be a great treat for him. Eddie, he's done a great job with us. But, the boys, right when they stepped off, the bus and it was the culture just hit them. They felt loved. They felt welcome. And, it was like they had to do a big service project. They did projects with the deaf and blind kids out there, and it really showed them how fortunate they are to even be in their situations, and how hard it can be for others across the world. But if we ask any of our boys, what's the most impactful thing of our program? What's that experience that is most memorable? It's always travel. A lot of our boys over the summer, we have camps, relationships with camps in New Hampshire and Asheville, North Carolina, and Houston and Denver, where we send the boys and these like adventure camps. And, usually they're free for us, but we have to pay to get them there, obviously. But those experiences are just, they're life-changing for them. They have relationships with people outside of New Orleans that they wouldn't normally have. And they're bringing themselves to others that wouldn't have relationships with people in New Orleans. That culture we're able to give to other people, which is a great thing. So it just opens their minds, and just packing a bag, going through TSA, getting on a plane, they have their phones out. I mean, it's all new experiences, but it's wonderful.
And it does open one's eyes. Your organization is 10 years old. You talked about the beginning how it was, and then it really started to move and grow. What's your vision, your hope and desire for the next 10?
Wow, that's a great question. We've had some great success over the last couple of years with hiring a great programmatic team. So we want to continue to do that and deliver great services to our boys, but we do want to expand. I think expand locally, Gulf South, or even nationally, because this is a national problem. It's a global issue, really. But in New Orleans, you're looking at another 5,000 kids that could really use our support or more. So we really want to make sure that we're doing our service to our hometown, but also offering them to other kids across America. So for us, we'll see. I think it's going to rely on a lot of partners that are able that will allow us to do so. I don't necessarily want to go knocking on every door, in other cities. I think, if we have 2 or 3 great partners and, nationally, that will help us, because we have a great product, I think, and we want to share it with everyone.
How can our audience learn more about Son of a Saint?
Sure. Well, I think, going to our website, sonofasaint.org, but even following us on Instagram and social media, because I think there's a lot of activity that you're able to see on there. You're able to see the boys and what they're going through in a positive way, and also in some ways changing the narrative of what young Black boys in New Orleans are doing, and so Son of a Saint .org, Son of a Saint .org is our tagline, and so I advise people to do that. Go through our website, really dive in and see. We have our logic model on there. We have images of the boys, what they hope to be when they get older. We have, our mentors and ways that people can get involved. So I think that's the best way for people to learn about us, is really just go through our Instagram and website, and hopefully they get inspired to give us a call.
Well, Sonny, thank you for being with us and sharing your passion, your purpose, and the impact that you're having on enhancing the lives of fatherless boys.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of Choice Conversations.
Open your eyes, your mind, your heart. Let's have a school.